Welcome back to Scotty's Movies. It's time to go over what I watched in October. It's the month of Halloween and all things scary, so I've been hitting the horror movies. Yeah, let's see what I watched. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, this month I've obviously been watching horror movies for October, yeah, I'll get started with my list. First thing I watched was a movie starring Paul Walker and Steve Zahn from 2001, I think it is, and it's called Roadkill, or it was called Joyride in the States. Yeah, I had this movie back on DVD years ago, and I watched it quite a lot. It's kind of like a duel type movie with a sort of a big truck basically chasing these two kids. Yeah, I really enjoyed Roadkill. I actually picked up the DVD in a charity shop, and I thought, I need to give this another watch. I'd not seen it for years. I got rid of me, I think it was basically the Joyride DVD years earlier. And yeah, give it another watch, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Good fun sort of chase movie. Bit tense, not particularly horrific or anything, but yeah, it's a good movie. I give that a 7 out of 10. Next up is a absolute classic that I just never watched, and it is The Exorcist. Yeah, I watched The Exorcist for the first time. Yeah, it's a very good movie. I think it still holds up today. I'll be honest, I didn't find it particularly scary. It's more disturbing than anything. I just think a lot of bits are a bit like, what the hell? But I can imagine, obviously, back in the day when it was first released, I could understand it really being terrifying. Excuse me. But yeah, I do think it still sort of holds up. It's just a very disturbing movie, and I'd not seen it, so I needed to get onto that. And yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I don't know if I'd rush to watch it again in a hurry, but yeah, I'm glad I watched it. But just for pretty much what it is, I give that 8 out of 10. I can see it is a very good movie. Next up is a movie from the 90s, starring Neve Campbell and what's the other girl's name? Fairuza Balk, I think her name is, or something like that. And there was another girl as well, I've completely forgotten her name. Robin Tunney, I think it is. And anyway, it's The Craft, about these sort of teenage witches in sort of high school. Yeah, I've never seen The Craft from the 90s, and I think I watched it on Netflix, and yeah, I really enjoyed it actually. It was good. It was a good fun movie. A lot better than I thought it would be. And it's something I'd probably pick up on physical in the future if I see it sort of cheap. But yeah, I enjoyed The Craft. I give that a 6.5 out of 10. Next up is a slasher movie from the late 90s, in the same vein as Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that was Urban Legend. And this had quite a lot of names in it. Joshua Jackson. I've completely forgotten everybody else now. Was Sarah Michelle Gellar in it? I can't remember. There's a few recognisable sort of faces anyway, and it's basically like I say, a slasher like Scream. Obviously not as good as that, or I Know We Did Last Summer, but it was quite fun. And yeah, I'd seen it before years ago, but I couldn't remember anything about it, and it was like a brand new watch. But yeah, I give that a 6 out of 10. Next up, I went to the cinema and watched a movie that's not a horror movie. There's only a couple on this list that are not horror movies this month. I watched The Lost King, which is a movie about the lady that finds the grave of Richard III, the King Richard III, who's basically buried under a car park in Leicester somewhere. And it's basically a true story. And yeah, if you've not seen this movie, I highly recommend checking it out when it comes on streaming or whatever. I don't think it was on the cinema too long, but I like the sound of it. It was pretty interesting. And yeah, I watched it. It was half written by Steve Coogan, I think, as well. He was in it as well. But it was a good movie. I really enjoyed that. I give that 8 out of 10 as well. It made me look up the lady in real life. When I got home and sort of read a bit about the actual story, what happened. But it was yeah, it was a good movie. Next up, I watched a remake of a classic slasher movie, and that's Friday the 13th from 2009. I remember last year I watched a remake of The Evil Dead. I think it was from 2013, and I really enjoyed that. I've since picked that up on Blu-ray. And this year it was the return of remake of Friday the 13th, and yeah, it was a lot of fun actually. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. Typical Friday the 13th really, but it was quite a good fun remake. Obviously seen a lot worse. And yeah, I'd give that a 6 out of 10 as well. Next up, it was back to the cinema, and I watched the controversial Halloween Ends. Yeah, it got a lot of issues, this film. I mean, everyone's probably heard about it by now. I mean, Michael Myers is probably in the movie for about 15 minutes. It was mainly based on the story of this lad that was sort of bullied in the town, and he eventually basically turns evil and that. But it was like a whole new story in the third of the trilogy. It just didn't make sense. It was like, why did they go down this route? It didn't make a lot of sense at all, and it ruined it for us. I really enjoyed Halloween 2018, and even Halloween Kills, I enjoyed that as well. And it's just what you want. You know, Michael Myers going around hacking and slashing people, and we didn't really get a lot of that. Focused on this young lad, and it was just, yeah, I wasn't a fan. It was very disappointing for me. And yeah, I give Halloween Ends 4 out of 10. Next up, I watched a movie from the 80s that I had seen before, but it's been a long time. And it was Critters. Yeah, I picked up a DVD box set of first 4 movies. And basically similar in veins as like you sort of Gremlins type characters, and it's just a very fun, amusing film. Not really a horror film, really. It's just more fun. But yeah, I give Critters 6.5 out of 10. I do enjoy Critters. It was good fun. It made me want to get straight onto the sequels. Following that up, I watched a film I picked up from the HMV Premium Collection. I think it's from 1987. And it's a film called The Hidden. This was quite a good movie. It was about sort of like aliens, basically, sort of living amongst us. And this is like just basically going around sort of killing people. And these cops are on the trail of them. And I think it starred, what's the guy from... what's his name? Kyle MacLachlan, is it? I think the guy from Twin Peaks it was. But yeah, it was a pretty good movie. Quite enjoyed it. Quite a bit of action in it, and it's a bit freaky as well. And I give that a 6.5 out of 10. Next up, I watched on Disney Plus Werewolf by Night, the new Marvel sort of hour-long sort of special, and yeah, I enjoyed that as well. It was really good. I thought it was really good. For what it was. A lot of pretty great action once it got going, and it was just something different, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I give that 8 out of 10 actually. Next up, back to Disney Plus again. I watched the sequel to Hocus Pocus, so obviously Hocus Pocus 2. I only saw Hocus Pocus a couple of years ago for the first time. Despite the fact it being an early 90s movie, I kind of didn't grow up on it. It kind of passed me by in the 90s, and I just never watched it. I don't know why. And I kind of not really got the nostalgia for it. And maybe that was why this one, I wasn't in a real hurry to watch it, but I thought I'd give it a whirl. It's sort of a bit of an easy watch. And yeah, it wasn't bad. I think the first one was better, as most people probably would think, I reckon. But it was all right. But you can't fault the three witches. They look pretty good. They look very similar to how they did in the first one. They've got a bit of makeup there, since it's like about 25, 30 years later. But yeah, I give Hocus Pocus 2 5 out of 10. It was all right. It's not really for me. I was not really got the nostalgia for it. Next up, I watched another film from the 80s, which I've wanted to watch for a while, and it's a film starring Kevin Dillon, and it was The Blob. This was really enjoyed this film. I thought the effects pretty much hold up to this day, considering it's basically just like it was like being attacked by a load of jelly. But I think it was quite not particularly scary, but it had quite a few freaky, jumpy parts in it. Not particularly scary, sort of a bit like whoa, you know. I did really enjoy The Blob. I think it was something that you could maybe do a sequel to, because they kind of left it open, or another sort of a reboot, because it's something different to Halloween or another Nightmare on Elm Street or another Chucky or something. I think it would benefit from maybe a new movie. But yeah, give The Blob 7 out of 10. Really enjoyed that one. Next up is a new horror movie from this year, starring Ethan Hawke, and I watched The Black Phone. Enjoyed The Black Phone as well. Thought it was a very good horror movie, and again, it was more disturbing than anything else. But it comes together quite well, and I did really enjoy The Black Phone. I give that 7.5 out of 10. Excuse me. Next up was something not particularly horror, but an old sort of monster movie, and I watched the original King Kong from 1933. I have seen this before, but God, years ago, probably when I was a kid, and it's more amusing now, but obviously you got to think for the time it was it looks awesome for the time it was made, and I was interested to see what the budget was for this film, and I think it was something like $650,000, which is it's quite mad. That it looks very good for obviously for its time, and it is a classic. And yeah, I give King Kong 8 out of 10. It's funny because I've seen obviously the Jack Black version in recent years, and I'd forgotten how much of a basically full on copy that movie is. It really follows the story almost to the latter. But yeah, it's been a long time. Next up, I watched a movie on YouTube, which I just saw the title for, and I just thought this was an awesome movie title. I just thought I've got to watch it. It sounds fun, and it was called Chopping Mall. And yeah, this was basically about these sort of robots that go a bit nuts in a shopping mall. Basically, go around killing loads of stupid teenagers. And they're like a cross between Daleks and like Johnny Five from Short Circuit with lasers. But it was a pretty amusing film. The acting's appalling, but I did have a lot of fun with it. I give that a 5 out of 10. It was fun. It's not going to win any awards. It's not like an absolute classic, but it was amusing. It was fun. fun. Not scary in the least, but it was funny. Next up, I watched another Critters movie. I watched Critters 2. I didn't enjoy this one quite as much as the original. Well, this was the movie, I think I mentioned it in a previous video, the Critters movie that I remembered from growing up, where the alien sort of hunters sort of take the form of a human, and this one guy basically takes the form of a girl from like a Playboy magazine or something, and he's when he's transformed, he's still got like this staples in his stomach because he takes looks at the centerfold. Yeah, that was Critters 2. But yeah, he was okay. Still had the guy from the original one in it. Obviously a bit more grown up, and yeah, takes on the old Critters again. But I did prefer the first one. I do look forward to watching the other two sequels. I know the third one's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it, so that should be interesting. Next up, I watched another 80s movie. This one starred Corey Haim, and it was a Stephen King book, a Silver Bullet, a werewolf movie. Now, this was a very, very good werewolf movie. I was really surprised by this. Also starred Gary Busey, and yeah, it was pretty 80s. It was a bit like a Stranger Things-esque with the kids and that. But I really, really enjoyed this film, and I'd recommend it. It's one of the better Stephen King sort of book adaptations I've seen, and I give that a 7 out of 10. Next up is not a horror film, but a classic 80s film I picked up just last week from CX, and it's Heathers with Christian Slater and Winona Ryder. Seen this movie tons of times. It's not a movie that would get made today. It's a very dark comedy. If you've seen it, you know what it's about. But I really enjoy Heathers. Give that 8 out of 10. Next up, I got back on the old Halloween train, and I watched for the first time Halloween 2, which is obviously a direct sequel to the 1978 original. I don't know if it was released the next year. I think it might have been. And it pretty much carries on directly where the first film left off. It's not bad. Not as good as the original, and I did quite enjoy it. I don't know. There's something about it. Obviously, I've only seen like the 2018 movie, and I saw Halloween H2O, which was not much cop, to be fair. Well, this one, yeah, it wasn't bad, but the film I watched next I did prefer. But yeah, Halloween 2, I'll give that a 6 out of 10. And next up, I did actually give Halloween 3 a miss. I do need to go back and watch that one. But I wanted to carry on with Michael Myers' story, and I watched The Return of Michael Myers in Halloween 4. Really enjoyed this one. This was like a million times better than Halloween Ends for me. Really, really enjoyed it. I did prefer it to Halloween 2. It just had lots of what you want from Michael Myers, basically going around hacking and slashing, and it was good. I give that a 6.5 out of 10. Next up, I watched a bit of Chucky. I watched Child's Play 2. I'd seen Child's Play recent years, and I'd not seen Child's Play 2 for quite a long time. And yeah, I watched that. I got the box set the other month, and I watched that again. And yeah, I love Child's Play 2. It's a really, really good sequel. A lot of fun. I'd forgotten pretty much everything about it. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. And I give that a 7.5 out of 10. And the final movie I watched, and that was on Halloween, was a recent release called Barbarian. This was a weird, sort of strange film. Another one I've got along the lines of disturbing, but it definitely keeps me interested. It's hard to explain. You can't really go into too much of the plot about it. It's kind of like this girl goes to a sort of sort of hotel where you get your own key, and when she goes in there, there's a sort of like there's already somebody living there, and then it just sort of goes on from there. It's well, yeah, it's again quite disturbing in parts, and but not particularly scary. It didn't make me jump or anything, but I did really enjoy it. And yeah, I would recommend checking out Barbarian. And I give that 7.5 out of 10. And yeah, that was it. I think that's this month on basically Halloween films and scary movies. I think I watched 14 films that I'd not seen this month out of what 22. So that's not bad. I did want to carry on after last year doing the whole month. Did one for every day of October last year. And I saw a few films there that I'd not seen before. So it's a good way to throw yourself into the horrors and stuff I've definitely not seen before. Seeing some classics like The Exorcist for the first time. And yeah, I look forward to doing it again next year with some more that I've not seen. I have probably had my fill of horrors though for now. I'm going to move on to something different next month. But yeah, comment down below if you've seen any of these movies. What's your favourite Halloween sequel? I know everyone says the original's probably the best, but what's your favourite sequel? I do want to look forward to getting onto the other ones I've not seen. But yeah, don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and click the bell for more videos like this. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.